way we live, we really are so much geared to do, this very busy lifestyle that we have, and the belief is that the more you work, the better your life will become, you fulfill the American dream, and all that conjures up an image of activity at all costs. And secret is attracting your attention to the fact that, well, maybe we don't have to be so active. If we just intend, we can attract things towards us, and they will come to us instead of our seeking them. And this is a very good idea, because quantum physics tells us something very explicitly. Quantum objects are objects of possibility. First of all, you have to believe that, like the secret, that anything is possible. That is fundamentally a very necessary belief in view of materialism, which says that nothing is possible. Everything is determined for us. Whatever we believe is just make-believe possibilities and make-believe aspirations and make-believe free will. We really cannot change. It's exactly how the elementary particles in our body and the genes are conspiring and dancing, whatever it is. It's their show. We are gene machines or elementary particle machines. We don't do anything out of our own volition. So secret is a good antidote for this kind of belief system. But the shortcoming is that, well, everybody wants to write a bestseller. Who wants to write a book on quantum physics? That I struggled with. Because, it is the rest of the story is a little bit sophisticated and a little more difficult. But it also can be simplified. The simplified image is that, yes, doing is correct, doing is useful, as being is useful. And the simplified image is that if we learn to alternate between doing and being and incorporate them both, I sometimes jokingly call this a doobie-doobie-doo lifestyle. If we did that, then at some point of our struggle, and this is the part where things get complicated, it really is a struggle. Manifestation is not easy. Something does not come just because of waiting. Something doesn't even guarantee to come, even if we become doobie-doobie-doo and hanker for it and wish for it. Something in a very unbeknownst way. I mean, we can never outguess it. We can never do something that will just definitely manifest it. You can never be sure about it. And yet, time after time, there are creative people who develop such a burning desire, burning question inside them, that their life becomes so dedicated to finding answer to that question, to the manifestation of the answer to that question, that it does come to them in a sudden insight. Sudden insight is the key to creativity. In quantum physics, we call it a quantum leap. When electrons jump from one orbit to another, it never goes through the intervening space. And we can do it too. The insight, the thought that can be called a sudden insight, is truly an aha experience. We never go through the intermediate thoughts. Here we were stuck in our known thoughts, and here we are very capable of thinking an unknown thought that we have never thought before, a thought that is giving us a clue to our manifestation, what we want to manifest in our life. So in this way, this is the way to attract the idea that will change our life. It requires some steadfast staying with a problem, develop a burning desire to solve a problem, a lot of work combined with a lot of relaxation. So it's both subtle, but I tell you, ultimately the reward of creativity is creativity itself. We, in a creative experience, in my judgment, encounter God. And what can be more rewarding than having a God experience? And people say that you cannot really see God. Well, God is, of course, non-material, so material seeing of the God is impossible, but we can be God, even though for a moment in that creative experience. So this kind of experience, I think, should turn people on. It certainly turns me on. Even now, every time I think of being creative, I get goosebumps on my body. After the big realization that consciousness is the ground of all being, and all these writings that I started doing, scientific papers, resolution of quantum measurement problem. So, I must have been a little full of it, whatever it is. So when I was invited to this big dialogue that we scientists of the New Age are going to have with Dalai Lama about how to apply the new science to solving all the social problems that we are facing. I was elated. I was really very pleased that I am one of the invitees, and very anxious to get together with these other people and then present my ideas to Dalai Lama, one of the most revered teachers, revered by me also because I have been studying him, and he seems to be one of the most spiritual men, along with other people like Mother Teresa, Nelson Mandela, a few of them only. There are not too many people of that ilk, in my opinion, today, at least in public. So I was extremely delighted to go. But when I went and met some of my co-participants in that dialogue, there were supposed to be 30 of them, and there was another 70 who would be watching us dialoguing. The first evening, the organizer told us to meet together and discuss in small groups and sort of choose what we want to dialogue about and whose ideas and so forth. And all hell broke out. And I also became very concerned that I want to talk about my ideas to the Dalai Lama. We should not create any intermediates of who should represent our ideas. The organizers sort of thought that if we summarize our ideas, then the organizers will pick and choose, and they will discuss the ideas with Dalai Lama and see, because that would be more systematic. And I became infuriated that my ideas will go through an intermediary. I said I want to talk directly to the Dalai Lama. That's what I came here for. And like that, it became very competitive. All of us wanted directly to talk to Dalai Lama. So eventually we ended up making the compromise that we get to present directly, but there is no time, 30 of us, so 2 minutes, that's all we get, 2 minutes to present. And I remember still the utter dismay and failure that I felt after I was the first one, because I made the most noise, so they gave me the first opportunity. So I get my 2 minutes and I speak, of course, but I could not speak anything with any great enthusiasm which would throw any tremendous amount of light to myself. What I said sounded hollow, let alone to, I don't know what Dalai Lama thought of it. Somebody translated it to him, he just nodded, and next one, please. So it was an utter experience of probably one of the most profound failures I've encountered in my entire life. Now later, when this movie maker, only just recently, showed me this movie, the very first scene, of course, was me and another traveler in the same path, a very great scientist, Fred Alan Wolf, were shown in this table arguing with each other in a very foolish, very egotistic way, trying to put ourselves in the front of who should get to present what and so forth. And I saw myself in a very different light. The first thought that came to me was one of little dismay, that this fellow wants to show this movie around, is showing this movie around already, it's so humiliating. But then I gradually realized that it's very interesting. I mean, this person is really not me. So that realization filled me with profound humility, that it is rare to get a chance of look at ourselves. And if we get that opportunity in an ongoing way, how nice it would be, because then we can say how much of an asshole we can be, and gives us an opportunity to see that, well, we have the capacity to change. We don't really have to remain in that place. And I'm just so happy. And the filmmaker was asking me if the conclusion can be reached. The encounter with Dalai Lama provided some key or seed for transformation. And I said it's quite possible. I just haven't consciously thought of it that way. But certainly the impetus to change could very well have come from encounter with such a great man. But however it came, I'm just happy that I also recognize that person in that movie is not me. I'm not stuck to that. Inside, I feel much more humility. I feel that The world is a wonderful journey, and discovering new science, even engaging with it, is definitely not even the beginning of our journey. It just is a phase that we go through. If it helps people, that's wonderful. But the idea of ourselves is not so much to discover ideas that will single us out as being discovered, but the idea is to contribute stuff that will help each other to understand each other better. And so the greatest part of my work that I now think is that it enables me to feel the connection with people, and enables me to feel that I can help a few of my fellow strugglers, because I have struggled. And if the way I put things, my experience into books and into my writing, if that helps others, everyone is a struggler. We know that everyone tries the best to be what he or she sees the potential. Nobody here that I have met is not trying. We get into trouble not because we are not trying, it's just because the trying is so tough sometimes. So if I can help a little bit, if my insights have been helpful to others, that is the reward of the work. It's not whether I get the credit and so forth, like I was so keen to get credit to Dalai Lama for originating this idea within science. That is not entirely irrelevant. We must also sometimes humble enough to admit that we have the ego, we have the desire, but it is not all of it. So I'm very grateful that I now can make room for another me, which can just take pleasure from another person and help being a helpmate to that person. I don't want to be the center figure all the time. It's okay for others to be the center stage, and if I can be in this stage just as a helper, that's fine. And if I'm not in this stage, that is also fine, but I hope I'm still around for a few more years.
The only thing I would add is to thank Seed for sponsoring these dialogues that we've had in Albuquerque for the past number of years now, and encourage him to continue with them because they're really excellent forums for knowledge exchange and intellectual nurturing and so forth. And they have just been very good therapy for people who do participate in the dialogue. So I want to thank Seed for being a sponsor and carrying that tradition on.